I could see it from across the room. The way the light hit the stone was wrong. Too cold. Too sharp. No fire. I pressed my palm flat against the velvet tray and tried not to stare, but my heart was already hammering. That ring, the one glittering on the hand of the woman in the private showroom, wasn't real. And neither, I suspected, was she. My name is Maren Cole, 24, apprentice jeweler at Salvatore and Company, one of the oldest diamond houses in Chicago. I'd spent 3 years learning to read stones the way some people read faces. Cut, clarity, color, carat. But more than that, light. The way a real diamond bends it, refracts it, devours it, and spits it back like fire. That ring didn't do any of that. I should have kept my mouth shut. I should have finished polishing the settings in the back room and gone home like I did every other Saturday. But I didn't, because the man sitting across from her was Luca Santoro. And if he was about to marry a woman wearing a fake engagement ring, someone had just declared war on him, and he didn't even know it yet. Luca Santoro didn't look like the kind of man you lied to. He sat in the private viewing room like he owned it, which, technically, he probably did. Tall, dark-haired, with the kind of calm that came from never needing to raise his voice. He wore a charcoal suit that cost more than my yearly rent, and when he moved, even slightly, the two men standing behind him adjusted their posture. The woman beside him was stunning. Blonde, porcelain skin, a smile that could sell anything. Her name was Isabel DeLuca. According to the appointment log, bride-to-be. She'd come in 3 times this month for adjustments to her wedding set. Always polite, always glowing, always wearing that ring. Mr. Salvatore had been handling her personally. He never let me near the front when she visited, but today he was at an estate auction, and the floor manager had called in sick. So when Isabel walked in with Luca Santoro himself, I was the only one there. "We're here to finalize the wedding bands," she said, her voice smooth as silk. I nodded. "Of course, let me pull the order." I turned toward the safe, but my eyes betrayed me. They flicked back to her hand, to the ring. It sat there, glittering under the showroom lights. Enormous, flawless if you didn't know what to look for. But I did. The proportions were too perfect, the brilliance too uniform. Cubic zirconia, maybe. Or moissanite. High grade, expensive even, but not a diamond. I set the wedding bands on the table between them. "Beautiful," Isabel murmured, reaching for the platinum band engraved with lilies. Luca didn't look at the rings. He looked at me. "Something wrong?" His voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It cut through the air like a blade, and suddenly I couldn't breathe. "No, sir," I said quickly. "Everything's ready." His eyes, dark, unreadable, stayed on me a moment longer. Then he looked at Isabel. "Try it on." She slipped the band onto her finger next to the engagement ring and held her hand up to the light. Perfect. I should have let it go, but my mouth opened anyway. "Miss DeLuca," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "May I see your engagement ring for a moment? Just to make sure the fit is seamless." She hesitated. Just a flicker. But I caught it. "It's fine," she said lightly. "No need." "It'll only take a second," I pressed. "We want everything perfect for the wedding." Luca's gaze sharpened. "Let her see it." Isabel's smile didn't falter, but her fingers curled slightly. "Luca, it's really not Isabel." One word. No anger. No threat. Just certainty. She slid the ring off and placed it on the velvet tray. I picked it up carefully, turning it under the light. My pulse roared in my ears. I pulled the loop from my pocket and examined the stone. No inclusions, no internal flaws, no double refraction. I set the loop down and held the stone up to my mouth. Breathed on it gently, like fogging a mirror. The condensation clung to the surface for 3 full seconds. On a real diamond would have cleared in less than 2. Fake. I set the ring down gently. Where did you get this? I asked quietly. From you, Isabel said, her voice cooling. From this store, 3 months ago. I looked up at her. We don't sell synthetic stones here. The air in the room changed. Luca leaned forward slightly. What did you just say? I met his eyes. This isn't a diamond, Mr. Santoro. It's cubic zirconia. High quality, but not real. Isabel laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. That's absurd. Luca bought this himself. He'd never... I didn't buy it here, Luca said. The room went silent. He turned to her. Slowly. I bought it in New York. From a private dealer. You said you loved it. I do love it, she said quickly. This girl doesn't know what she's talking about. She's an apprentice. For God's sake. She's right. The voice came from the doorway. I turned. Mr. Salvatore stood there, still in his coat, eyes sharp as cut glass. He must have come back early. He walked to the table, picked up the ring, examined it for less than 5 seconds, and set it back down. Cubic zirconia, he confirmed. Excellent grade, probably $800 retail. Luca didn't move, but the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Someone switched it, I said quietly. Isabel's face went pale. That's insane. Why would I? Because you needed money, I said. The words came before I could stop them. You sold the real one, and you thought he'd never know. Her hand shot out and cracked across my face. The slap echoed. I stumbled back, tasting copper. One of Luca's men moved, but Luca raised a hand, stopped him cold. He stood, slowly. His eyes never left Isabel. Where's the real ring? Luca, please. Where is it? She broke. I needed the money, she whispered. My brother. He owed people. Dangerous people. They said they'd kill him if I didn't. Who did you sell it to? She didn't answer. Luca's jaw tightened. Who? Marco Vitale, she breathed. The name hit like a gunshot. Mr. Salvatore stepped back. One of the guards swore under his breath. I didn't know who Marco Vitale was, but I knew, from the way the air turned to ice, that Isabel had just signed her own death warrant. Luca looked at her for a long, silent moment. Then he turned to me. You have a good eye, he said quietly. He walked past Isabel without another word. His men followed. She stood there, trembling, her hand still raised like she might hit me again. You just ruined my life, she whispered. No, I said, touching my bleeding lip. You did. She ran. I locked up the store an hour later. My hands were still shaking. Mr. Salvatore had sent me home early, told me to take the next few days off. He didn't say why, but I heard him on the phone as I left. Luca, she's just a kid. She didn't know. I didn't hear the rest. I walked 3 blocks before I realized someone was following me. A black car. Slow. Deliberate. I turned down an alley, heart hammering. The car stopped. A door opened. Miss Cole. I spun around. Luca Santoro stood in the mouth of the alley, hands in his pockets, perfectly calm. You're smart, he said. Too smart to be polishing rings in a back room. I like my job, I said, voice tight. You saved my life today. I blinked. What? Isabel wasn't just stealing from me, he said quietly. She was working for Vitale, feeding him information. The ring was a message, a taunt. He stepped closer. If I'd married her, I'd be dead within the month. I couldn't breathe. You exposed her, he continued, in front of witnesses, in front of me. That took either courage or stupidity. I just told the truth. The truth, he repeated, almost amused. In my world, that's the most dangerous thing you can do. He reached into his jacket. I flinched. He pulled out a business card, set it in my hand. When they come for you, he said, call me. When who? Vitaly doesn't forgive insults, and you just cost him a spy. He turned back toward the car. Stay smart, Miss Cole. The door closed. The car pulled away. I stood there staring at the card in my hand. It was black. I'd embossed in silver. No name, just a phone number. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that my life had just changed forever. I didn't sleep that night. I kept the lights off and sat by the window, watching the street below. Every car that passed made my stomach twist. At 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Miss Cole. A man's voice. Smooth. Cold. You made a mistake today. Who is this? Someone who doesn't appreciate interference. A pause. Isabel was family. You humiliated her. My blood turned to ice. I didn't. Luca Santoro is a dead man walking. And now, so are you. The line went dead. I sat there, shaking, staring at the black card on my nightstand. Then I picked up the phone, and I called him. He answered on the first ring. I'm on my way, Luca said. 20 minutes later, the black car pulled up outside my building. I grabbed my purse and ran. Luca was standing on the sidewalk, flanked by two men I hadn't seen before. One was broad-shouldered, scar across his jaw. The other was lean, watchful, hand hovering near his waistband. Get in, Luca said. I didn't argue. The car smelled like leather and cologne. Luca sat across from me, utterly still. Tell me everything, he said. I repeated the call, word for word. My voice shook, but I didn't leave anything out. When I finished, he leaned back. They know where you live, he said. They know your routine. They'll move fast. What do I do? You disappear. I stared at him. I can't just... You can, he said quietly. Or you can die. Those are your options. The words landed like a punch. I have a job, I said. An apartment. A life. Not anymore. He reached into his coat and pulled out an envelope, set it on the seat between us. 20,000 cash, new phone, new identity documents, temporary until I can arrange something permanent. I looked at the envelope, then at him. Why are you helping me? Because you helped me. His gaze was steady, unreadable. And because Vitaly is making a move. If he's willing to threaten a civilian to send me a message, he's escalating. I need to know why. So I'm bait. No. His voice hardened. You're under my protection. There's a difference. The car turned down a side street, away from the city lights. Where are we going? I asked. Safe house. North side. You'll stay there until this is resolved. And then? Then you go back to your life. Or you start a new one. He paused. Your choice. The safe house was a brownstone in a quiet neighborhood. Brick facade, iron gate, bars on the lower windows. Luca led me inside. The interior was sparse, clean. No personal effects. Just furniture and a faint smell of disinfectant. Bedrooms upstairs. Kitchen stocked. You need something. Call the number on the fridge. I set my purse down. How long will I be here? As long as it takes. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. He turned to leave, then stopped. Maren. It was the first time he'd used my first name. Don't leave this house. Don't call anyone. Don't post anything online. If you do, you're dead. I nodded. He left. The door locked behind him with a heavy click. I stood there for a long time, staring at the empty room, wondering how my life had unraveled in less than 12 hours. Yet 3 days passed. I barely slept. Every creak, every passing car, every shadow outside the window sent my heart racing. I couldn't watch TV, couldn't focus on books. I just paced, waited, listened. On the fourth day, the phone rang. Not my old phone, the burner Luca had given me. I picked it up. "It's me," Luca said. "We need to talk. I'm sending a car." "What's happening?" "I'll explain when you get here." The line went dead. An hour later, I was back in the black car, winding through Chicago's west side. We stopped outside a warehouse. Rusted metal, boarded windows, the kind of place you didn't visit unless you had no other choice. Luca was waiting inside. So was Isabel. She sat in a metal chair in the center of the room, hands zip-tied behind her back, mascara streaked down her face. When she saw me, her eyes went wide. "You," she spat. "You did this." I looked at Luca. "What is this?" "Answers," he said. "Sit." He gestured to a folding chair near the wall. I sat. Luca turned to Isabel. "Tell her." "I don't owe her." He slammed his hand on the table beside her. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Isabel flinched. "Tell her." She looked at me, hate burning in her eyes. "It wasn't supposed to go this far," she whispered. "Marco just wanted information. Names. Shipment schedules. I thought I could give him enough to pay off my brother's debt and walk away." "But you couldn't," Luca said. "No." Her voice cracked. "He wanted more. He always wanted more. And then he told me to switch the ring, said it would humiliate you, prove you were slipping." "So you did it," I said. She nodded. "And when I exposed you, you called him," Luca continued. "Told him what happened. Gave him Maren's name." Isabel didn't answer. Luca leaned down, close to her face. "Where is Marco now?" "I don't know." "Isabel." "I don't." She sobbed. "He changes locations every day. I only ever meet him when he summons me." "Then how does he contact you?" She hesitated. Luca waited. "Encrypted app," she finally said. "On my phone." Luca straightened. Looked at one of his men. "Get it." The man disappeared. Luca turned to me. "You should go." "What are you going to do to her?" "What needs to be done?" I stood. "She made a mistake. She was scared." "She put you in danger," Luca said, his voice flat. "She betrayed me." "Those aren't mistakes. They're choices." "So you're going to kill her?" He didn't answer. Isabel sobbed harder. I looked at her, at Luca, at the cold, empty warehouse around us. "This is your world," I said quietly. "Yes. I don't belong here." "No," he agreed. "You don't." I walked toward the door. "Maren." I stopped. "You saved my life," Luca said. "That means something. But it doesn't change what has to happen next." I didn't turn around. "I know," I said. And I left. The car took me back to the safe house. I sat in the dark living room, staring at nothing, replaying everything. Isabel's sobs, Luca's cold certainty, the way he looked at her like she was already gone. I'd stepped into something I didn't understand, something brutal and final and utterly beyond my control. And the worst part? I wasn't sure I regretted it. Because Isabel had chosen to betray him. She'd chosen to steal from him, to sell his secrets, to put me in danger. And in Luca's world, choices had consequences. I fell asleep on the couch, fully clothed, the burner phone clutched in my hand. I woke to knocking. Soft, deliberate. I sat up, heart pounding. The knocking continued. I crept to the window, pulled back the curtain just enough to see. Luca stood on the front step, alone. I opened the door. He looked tired. Not physically, just worn. Like something inside him had been scraped raw. "It's done," he said. I didn't ask what that meant. He stepped inside, closed the door behind him. Vitaly's making his move, he said. He's planning something big. Isabel didn't know the details, but she gave us enough to confirm he's targeting my supply chain. If he succeeds, I lose half my operations. What does that have to do with me? Everything? He turned to face me. You're the reason I found out. If you hadn't exposed Isabel, I'd have walked into his trap blind, married her, trusted her, and when he struck, I'd have been finished. So I'm… what? A good luck charm? No. His gaze held mine. You're smart, observant. You see things other people miss. I'm a jeweler. You're more than that. He stepped closer. I need someone I can trust. Someone who isn't part of this world. Someone who won't be bought or scared into betrayal. I stared at him. You want me to work for you? I want you to help me stay alive. I don't know anything about… You don't need to. His voice softened. I have people for violence, for logistics, for enforcement. What I need is someone who can spot a lie, who can read people, who won't let me get blindsided again. That's insane. Yes. I'm not qualified. You exposed a traitor in under 5 minutes, he said. You saw what I couldn't. That's more valuable than any weapon. I turned away, wrapped my arms around myself. I don't want this life. I know. I just want to go back to normal. You can't. His voice was quiet, certain. Vitaly knows your name, your face. Even if I eliminate him, someone else will come. Someone else will see you as leverage. The only way you're safe is if you're under my protection. For how long? Permanently. The word hung in the air between us. You're asking me to give up everything, I said. I'm asking you to survive. I closed my eyes, thought about my tiny apartment, my job at Salvatore & Co., my quiet, ordinary, invisible life. All of it was gone. The moment I'd opened my mouth in that showroom, I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross. What do I get? I asked. Safety. Money. At a place in my organization. And if I say no? He was silent for a long moment. Then I'll do everything I can to keep you alive, he said finally. But I can't guarantee it. I turned to face him. His expression was unreadable, but something in his eyes, something almost vulnerable, made me pause. You mean that? I said. The protection. You're not just saying it. I don't say things I don't mean. I believed him. Against every instinct, every shred of common sense, I believed him. Okay, I said. He blinked. Okay? I'll help you, but I'm not killing anyone. I'm not hurting anyone. I just observe, advise. That's it. Agreed. And if I want out, you tell me, and we figure it out. I nodded slowly. He extended his hand. I shook it. His grip was firm, warm. Welcome to the family, Maren Cole, he said quietly. And just like that, my old life ended. And a new one, dangerous, impossible, intoxicating, began. The next morning, Luca took me to his headquarters. It wasn't what I expected. No dark warehouse, no smoke-filled back room. It was a sleek, modern office building downtown. Glass and steel. Conference rooms. Assistants in tailored suits. We run legitimate businesses, Luca explained as we rode the elevator to the top floor. Restaurants, real estate, import-export. The other side, that's kept separate. How separate? Separate enough. The elevator opened into a penthouse office, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Leather furniture, a massive desk made of dark wood. A woman stood near the window. Mid-30s, sharp-eyed auburn hair pulled into a tight bun. This is Gianna, Luca said. My second in command. Gianna looked me up and down. Her expression was unreadable. So you're the one who caught Isabel, she said. I just noticed the ring, I said. Most people wouldn't have. She crossed her arms. Luca says you're observant. I hope he's right. She is, Luca said. Gianna didn't look convinced, but she nodded. I'll get her set up. She led me down a hallway to a smaller office, sparse but functional. Desk, computer, a small window overlooking the street. This is yours, Gianna said. You'll work directly with Luca. No one else needs to know what you're doing. Understood? Understood. Good. She leaned against the doorframe. A word of advice. Don't fall for him. I blinked. Excuse me? Luca. Her gaze was steady, knowing. He's magnetic, protective. Easy to mistake that for something else. I'm not judging. I'm warning. She straightened. This world eats people like you alive. Stay sharp. Stay detached. Or you won't last. She left. I stood there, alone in my new office, wondering what the hell I'd just agreed to. 3 weeks passed. I learned fast. Luca brought me to meetings. Not the violent kind, but the business ones. Negotiations with suppliers, discussions with investors, dinners with politicians and city officials who pretended they didn't know who he really was. My job was simple. Watch. Listen. Tell him what I saw. And I was good at it. I spotted a contractor who was skimming funds by the way he avoided eye contact when discussing budgets. I identified a rival gang's mole by noticing the same man at 3 separate, coincidental locations. I even caught one of Luca's own men planning to steal a shipment. Just by the way he kept checking his phone during a strategy meeting, Luca listened to everything I said, acted on it, and slowly, grudgingly, the rest of his people started to respect me. But Gianna's warning echoed in my head. Because she was right. I was falling for him. Not because he was powerful, though he was. Not because he was handsome, though he was that too. But because he saw me. Not as a tool, not as leverage, but as someone who mattered. He asked my opinion, remembered details I mentioned in passing, made sure I ate during long meetings, walked me to my car at night. And when he looked at me, really looked at me, it felt like standing in sunlight after years in the cold. It terrified me. One night, after a particularly tense meeting, Luca asked me to stay. The office was empty, just the two of us. And he poured 2 glasses of whiskey and handed me one. You're doing well, he said. Thank you. Better than I expected, honestly. I smirked. Low expectations? Realistic ones. He took a sip. Most people don't adapt to this world. They either break or they harden into something unrecognizable. And me? You're still you. He looked at me. That's rare. I set my glass down. Luca, can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever regret this life? He was quiet for a long moment. Every day, he finally said. But regret doesn't change anything. I am what I am. And what's that? A man who does terrible things to protect the people he cares about. The weight of those words settled between us. Is that what I am now? I asked softly. Someone you care about? He looked at me. Really looked. Yes. My breath caught. He set his glass down. Stepped closer. That's why you need to be careful, he said quietly. Because people will use that against me. Against you. I know. And you're still here. Yes. He reached out, brushed a strand of hair from my face. His touch was gentle, deliberate. You should go, he murmured. Before I do something we'll both regret. But I didn't move. Neither did he. And then, the door burst open. Gianna stood there, breathless, phone in hand. We have a problem, she said. Luca stepped back immediately. All business. What is it? Vitale just hit one of our shipments, south side, 6 men dead. Luca's expression went cold. When? 20 minutes ago. He looked at me, then at Gianna. Get everyone to the safe room. Now. Luca, now. Gianna grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the door. I looked back at Luca. He was already on his phone, barking orders, his voice hard as steel, and I realized with sudden, horrible clarity that the war we'd been preparing for had just begun.